This video details some of the amazing resources that are available on the web. Many of them are available for free. Just download them onto your laptop or computer. And some of these aren't free, but we make available at the Idea Foundry for participants of Startup Weekend coming up in just a few weeks. So we're always very proud to show off what this culture can do for everyone. And the first best resource is YouTube. I've heard YouTube called, my friend's kid's favorite teacher. I call it the world's university. You can learn everything from art history to artificial intelligence. Check it out. Don't be bashful. Um, Another great place to have step-by-step user-uploaded recipes on how to make nearly anything is Instructables.com. Go check it out. Not only is it step-by-step, often they have parts lists, often they even have estimates for how much things cost, as well as design files, Arduino sketches, PDFs for laser cutting, STLs for 3D printing. MakeZine.com, the website for Make Magazine, is also a spectacular resource. Check it out. Make also has a website just for educators, so check that out too if you're interested in teaching other people about this culture. SparkFun is one of our favorite companies. They're an all open source, all US manufactured and designed electronics company. You can buy the electronic hardware as well as the open source sketches, the programs that Arduino can run for them. And they also have a learn.sparkfun.com website mainly meant for educators. So again, if you want to learn and teach this, it's easy to pay this culture forward. Adafruit is another fantastic electronics company, also with a lot of educational opportunities, created by Lady Ada, Lee Freed. She's on the cover of Wired a few years ago, and brings a lot to the maker culture. There's a lot of software as well. Inkscape is one of our favorite open source free software programs for designing vectors. Vectors are what you need to send to a laser cutter or a computer controlled mill, so check out Inkscape. Tinkercad is a through the web based CAD app that's amazing. You can download, or rather you can create all sorts of amazing things very intuitively. Check it out. Fusion 360 is my favorite. This is a 3D CAD file that is made for free for hobbyists and for students, and it's very affordable for professionals. It's an Autodesk product. It can do all sorts of conventional CAD as well as the new kind of sculpting digital carving out of clay that is very popular, especially now that 3D printers can create organic shapes very easily. So check out Fusion 360. Remake is another Autodesk product. This is an amazing, effectively 3D scanning app with your smartphone or through your digital camera. If you can take 30 or 40 photos of something that already exists or something you've sculpted, think of making something out of Play-Doh or clay, you can then scan it. You can scan your head, things like that. If you can upload 40 photos to Remake, it will let you create a 3D file that you can then 3D print or slice for laser cutting. It's essentially a 3D scanner. And then if you do have a 3D file, Autodesk also has another plugin for Fusion 360 called Slicer. Slicer will take that 3D shape and will slice it into sections that you can then send to a laser cutter, and you can assemble it much like a puzzle. So think of paint by numbers. This is assemble by numbers. If you want to make large or small things, this is great. Sculptress is a free program for digital carving, and I'll show a few videos of this a little bit later. SketchUp is a free program for large-scale stuff. You can do a whole host of 3D design, but it's really meant for architectural work. And in fact, our entire workshop can be rendered in SketchUp. Here's our building. Gravit.io is a fun through-the-web-based CAD design software that also has a built-in e-commerce site. So once you make your 3D shape, people can buy it from you. Really convenient and great for students. Onshape is another almost prosumer professional CAD level through the web app. And then here we're going to step through an application of using Tinkercad, where I was very impressed with someone who took Tinkercad to create essentially a chess piece out of things that look like tools. So here you just add blocks. You don't even have to design these blocks. You just drag them over from the menu, whether it's a box or a cylinder or what they call a little roof, and you can create shapes out of these things, or you can use these to create shapes that you subtract out of these bigger pieces. So here we're seeing someone make a chess piece that looks like a handsaw, and shortly you'll see them copy that roof shape, duplicate it, group it together, and then subtract it from that metal-looking centerpiece there. I'm going to skip ahead so you can see that happening there. So here they took a lot of those triangular prisms, grouped them together. If you can group objects in Microsoft Word for making a figure, you can do CAD. It's really intuitive, really fun. And then, of course, you can save this file and you can 3D print it, or you can slice it for laser cutting and machining. We'll go to the next. Another thing I really like about Tinkercad and Thingiverse. Thingiverse is a free repository of legally downloadable 3D design files. So you don't need to create things from whole cloth. You can download, for example, a phone case, and then Google, say, the word falcon. And I learned that if you Google for images, there's actually an option to choose what type of image. And you can select to just line art or line drawing. Equally, you could just do falcon space vector or falcon space SVG, which is a popular vector type of extension. But this will limit the type of results to these line art images. And then pick the one you want. This fellow picked a superhero named Falcon. And then use an image conversion software that's, again, legally free through the web, where he uploaded a JPEG, and it gives you an output of a vector. And later in these videos, we'll talk about what vectors are. And you can import that vector into Tinkercad. And the nice thing about Tinkercad, it automatically can add some depth to an otherwise two-dimensional vector. So here it's automatically added 10 millimeters to the thickness of that vector art. And then this person took, whoops, let me kill this, took that image, scaled it down, and then used it to effectively emboss or subtract out of or add to that iPhone case. So you can see that very quickly you can download a legally free 3D model of a phone case. You didn't need to create that yourself. You can search for an interesting free image. You can turn that into a vector. You can turn that into a 3D object, and you can either subtract that out from the thickness of the phone or you can add to it. So very rapidly you can customize and add value to digital prototypes. And then, of course, you can 3D print this or machine it or what have you. Here we'll have an example of Sculptris. Sculptris is that 3D sculpting program. So here, clearly, this is a little bit time-lapsed, but essentially you see a ball of clay on the computer. Wherever you drag the mouse, it either removes material or adds material, stretches or compresses. So if you're a talented 10-year-old with a good eye and some patience, you can craft the digital file necessary to send to a 3D printer or laser cutter or CNC machine. Very intuitive, very easy. It gets even better. We have an Oculus Rift. We have a number of virtual reality and augmented reality devices at the Foundry. One of them is the Rift, and Rift has a software program called Medium, which allows you to use the wireless handheld controllers. These are wired, but ours are wireless, to create amazing things out of thin air. This is a kind of creepy spider, but you can create all sorts of fun things very intuitively and then 3D print it. Remake is an example of that 3D scanning software. Let me turn this music down. And this is a video. I have the link to the YouTube video in here where this fellow takes off his shoe. I wish he took something less unappealing. And takes about 30 or 40 photos and then uploads them to his computer and then uploads that to Remake. This used to be called 123D Catch, but now it's Remake. And it will take those photos and automatically stitch them together into a 3D shape. So again, if you can sculpt something by hand, for example, clay or wax or even Play-Doh, or if you can 3D scan something that already exists, a piece of sculpture, or like I said, your head, you can make a 3D model that you can then send to a digital prototyping resource. Really exciting. And then if you want to add life and dynamy to these things, all sorts of free electronics and programming resources exist. So Arduino is our favorite. It's a very cheap card. This is a few years old. You can buy this for $5 now. Rather, buy the card. There it is, $4.73. or you can buy a kit with all sorts of, with a remote control, with LED displays for very cheap. And you can legally find very many computer programs, which they call sketches, to run on these things. So again, you don't need to create things from whole cloth. You can use what's already available on the web to empower your ideas. There's also a simulator for Arduino called circuits.io. This is, again, an Autodesk product, so you can test your software program before running it on Arduino, possibly risking popping some capacitors or damaging another chip. Fritzing is another great Arduino simulator, and not only will it let you test your sketch or your computer program, if you like how your circuit component, circuit diagram works, you can actually print it. You can email it to a company that will then mail you back a printed circuit board instead of just a proto board like this. Really amazing stuff. And then PageNodes is a web-based Internet of Things platform where you can create Internet of Things apps very conveniently. So check out PageNodes. Scratch is a fun way to develop video games. It's an MIT product. It's great for kids or adults alike. Lots of fun. And you don't need to come to the Idea Foundry to 3D print something or machine something. There are services that will take your emailed file and mail you back a physical prototype. Shapeways is amazing. They'll send you back wax parts if you want to cast it yourself, or they'll send you back plastic parts or silver parts or bronze parts or gold or platinum if you want to pay for it. Really amazing. Shipping is just $5 and often takes just 2 weeks. Make XYZ is another 3D printing on demand service bureau. So is 3D Hubs. So is Fictive. I know the folks who run Fictive. They will mail you a 3D printed part in a day or a CNC metal machine part in 3 days. Really amazing. And then 100,000 Garages is a collection of people who own ShopBot, CNC router tables, and other machines. So it's kind of distributed manufacturing network throughout the United States. So there's a whole host of free and cheap digital design tools, free and cheap electronics and programming tools, and cheap prototyping, 3D printing, metal machining tools as well. So if anyone has any questions, shoot me an email, alex@ideafoundry.com. It's an amazing world.